This segment of Open Up is brought to you in part by Up Apr, the locally owned company that has everything you need for lush, weed-free gardens and lawns, from the smallest backyards to the property of the biggest businesses, and with top quality equipment and products better than the big chains, and they service what they sell. Located on Rosedale Highway, just east of Callaway, across from the promenade. Be loyal, buy local, upaprweed.com.
S is on too. No.
Well, Bob, are we back?
We just like that. I was in the middle of something. We are back, and Tina, look at you. You need to stand up and show everybody what you're wearing today.
I'm instructed to stand
My
up.
goodness, and
Chris.
twirl.
I can't twirl.
Okay,
too
don't
much,
twirl.
Bob.
Fine. All right. Look at that.
This way and that
Looking
way.
sharp. Tina Miller.
Thank you, Bob. I'm glad you like my dresses.
There you go.
Yeah. Hey, I want to thank our dear friends at Nature's Food Market and Juice Bar. Wendy Noss just had a birthday the other day, as a matter of fact. Happy birthday. And Chuck Noss, owners of Nature's Food Market, 2008th Street, right across from the Fox Theater. And they always provide us with the best to drink in health. And I had this morning a little killer shot. It's the wheatgrass with... Maybe I'd better forget that name, killer. I had a little shot of wheatgrass this morning.
Little life shot.
Yeah, a life shot.
There,
I
you
like
got a
it,
life
Bob.
shot.
I'll have to let him know that. A little life shot of wheatgrass, and we're drinking our Alibaba, which is so delicious. And we have our next guest, who looks like he's brought a whole treasure of great things to explore. So let us introduce Joe Coughlin, founder and owner of Coconut Joe's. Yep. Welcome to Open Up.
Yeah, thanks. Enjoy it. Thanks for being
Yeah, he wants you to come in closer. Yeah.
Okay, come in closer.
And he's brought all kinds of props and
Yep.
things. So, Joe, what would you like to tell us first off?
Well, hey, I need to ask you a question.
Okay.
Okay, so let's get it started with this. How long ago did you start Coconut Joe's?
Coconut Joe's kind of got cranking around 1990.
Oh, I
It
like
used to
that.
be Getaway Cafe, right?
Yeah, that's I keep the sign companies in business in this town. We were Pepe's Pollos originally, then Getaway Cafe, and then Coconut Joe's Island Grill House, and we don't know what we are, but we're having fun.
But since the early 90s.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Always in the same location.
Yep. Yeah.
And then you
Through the good and the bad.
through the good and the bad.
Yeah.
Well, mostly the good. I eat there a lot, so
Yeah, well, the center was vacant for a lot of years. You remember?
Oh, that's right.
Mervin's was gone, Pizza Hut was gone, the theater was closed, Circuit City closed. I mean, it was a ghost town for a while, but we hung in there.
Yeah. So, are you saying you owned the restaurant when it was under other names?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
yeah.
I
I came
didn't
in.
know
There was the
that.
original owner for about 3 years, and then I came in and then started kicking it in the direction
Yeah.
that it is now.
Oh, and I like how you said we've been cranking over there since the 90s.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Okay. So, talk to us more. I'm excited about hearing what these little cute things are on the table.
Yeah, I brought you some goodies.
Okay.
So, well, it's funny. The previous guest Jay was talking about. He used the word "win" a lot.
Yes.
And we use "win" as well.
Okay.
And Coconut College really came out of when I was a kid, when I was 16 years old. A lady next door to me, she said she gave me the first of probably 300 quotes in my head now. But she told me something I'll never forget it. She said it was from Henry David Thoreau, and she said, "The mass of men live lives of quiet desperation." And I heard that, and I thought, is that true? And I looked around through life, and I realized that for the most part, that was true. It did seem that people were living lives of quiet desperation. They really weren't living out their life with their God-given gifts, etc. And so that was really the first thing that I heard that kind of kicked me in the direction of a philosophy that I've adopted and run with my whole life. So Coconut College is really about making sure that we are living big lives. And in talking about WIN, this is a little WIN sticker. And WIN stands for, and I picked this up, it's used by several universities, Purdue's one, but I picked it up from Lou Holtz. A couple years ago, I had an opportunity. I sent a letter off to ESPN and told Lou what I was doing, and he emailed me back and arranged to meet with me in Los Angeles. We sat down one-on-one, had a great time, and I told him that I really liked WIN. WIN stands for What's Important Now. And I encourage people to put this on their computer screen, especially at work, and ask themselves, when a daughter calls perhaps and says, "Can you come to my volleyball game this afternoon?" and you have what you perceive as important work to do, that you can ask yourself this life-changing question: what's important now?
love
And
it.
all of us have two selves. We forget this. There's the now Bob and there's the future Bob. There's the now Tina, there's the future Tina.
Yes.
And this now us, needs to make sure that we're making choices now that are going to make the future Joe happy, because the future Joe is going to hold this Joe accountable for the decisions I'm making. I need to make sure that I have the right perspective of life. We've all heard the Chuck Swindoll attitude, right? Okay, attitude's the most important thing in life. Well, I don't think attitude is the most important thing in life. You can have a great attitude about being in prison, but at the end of the day, you're still in prison. The goal of life is to not get into prison. And for that, you don't need attitude so much as you need the right perspective of life. What is life really all about? What is success really? And we can't look at just business people and make a decision that we're going to have them as our mentors. Because our culture will parade an overweight coronary nightmare in who's going through his third marriage and has his kids in drug rehab, but because he has a big bank account, we'll call him a success. Well, that's clearly not a success. When we're looking for mentors in life, we should be looking for people that are successful in business, but also, and most importantly, they're successful in life. This is our one shot. This is our one chance.
Yeah.
And so that's what Coconut College is about.
Okay, so I have a question.
Excellent.
I may just be entirely connecting the dots wrong. But let me ask you this. The theme of your restaurant is kind of the island life.
Right.
It's
Surfing.
It's surfing, it's Hawaii, it's the beach.
Yeah.
And it's so laid back that it almost seems to be in contradiction to what you're speaking about in life, yet I think that the people on the islands may have discovered some of the important things. And was that on purpose?
Well, I built the business. When I was starting the business, I got a book placed in my lap. It's an interesting story we don't have time for now, but it was a book that Jay was talking about earlier when I was talking to him outside before the show. And it's a critical book. And the book was about how to be successful in business. But what I got from it was my true goal. And the goal of life was not to have gobs of money. It was to have gobs of time. Time is the treasure.
It is.
Time is the treasure. I tell people, when I'm speaking to a room of 200 people, I say we all have two things in common. One is we're all going to die. And the second thing is we're all going to die with money in the bank. It's time that we're going to run out of it. And culturally, we're taught to not focus on time. We're encouraged, you talk to 87% of college kids now give money as the underlying reason for their chosen profession, and that's horrible. That robs society of their gifts, and it robs them of the life that they were really created to live. And so that's what we're trying to push that.
Right. I like what you say about time, because I feel the most important or most valuable thing I can give to you is my time.
Absolutely. And it's the thing that it's your biggest treasure, and yet in our
Yes.
families, it's the thing we often give the least to those we love the most.
Yeah, that's very true.
Yes. And how
Yeah.
some waste time.
Oh yeah.
And can never.
It's been said that you can't waste time. You can only waste yourself, because you are time. You see, that's the thing. I do this thing called the 3 buckets of life, and I have some
Yes.
of them here. By the way, these are some fun little things. I tell people that we're playing the game of life, whether we realize it or not.
There's
Where
your
am I at?
camera. Yeah,
and,
you're fine.
The problem is we're playing the game of life, but the directions have been changed, and it's really the game of sorry. That's the directions.
let me hold
How do
this
you win the game of life when you have the directions for the game of sorry? You don't really know how to win the game of life, and so
Excellent.
life becomes hit or miss, and we get in a lot of trouble
Wow.
because we haven't got a clue. And that's when
Rock and roll, man. Come on.
so.
That's excellent.
So life, basically, I do this thing I call the 3 buckets of life, and really there is the time bucket. We just talked about that.
Okay.
This is what we're given on day one. God gives us our bucket of time. Everything you will be, every
Okay.
experience you will have,
Okay.
every promotion you get, every relationship will all come from time. Time is the treasure. We must never lose sight of that. And we'll spend, now when God gives us our bucket of time, it's got a slight tilt.
Oh.
We cannot stop the flow of time. We cannot slow the flow of time. The only thing we can do is collect collect the flow of time, and we'll collect it in one of two other buckets. We'll collect it in the stuff bucket, or we'll collect it in the stories bucket. And this is why perspective is so important. What's in the stuff bucket? Well, it's things like palaces, big houses, possessions, paychecks, position, power, privilege, prestige, prominence. These are the things we're culturally taught to pour our lives into, you see. And the problem is that the stuff bucket's overflowing in our lives. Think about that. We have twice the house size and half the family size as we did in the 50s, when the Gallup pollsters tell us we were our happiest as a nation. We have 3 times the closet space, 3 times the garage space, and we still can't get the car in. And we have a multi-billion-dollar self-storage industry to house all the rest of our too much stuff we can't fit in our too much house. That's the craziness. And we call that success. And the problem is we're not living stories with our life.
Ooh, tell us about stories. Talk about stories.
Well, stories are things like play. Believe it or not, play. You know, I tell people, if you dropped your inner child off at the daycare center on the way to becoming an adult, it's time to go pick them back up again. We should never lose our inner child. We should never lose the joy of play. The world's a big playground if we'll see it. And things like places. See, we should be getting outside of our culture, outside of our country, outside of our comfort zone. We should be getting out. And yet, mostly we're staying in our homes watching television. You see? You know, we are the least traveled nation of the industrialized nations. We're the least. You go look at the number of passports in Australia and Europe, and, you know, we're all busy working. We're working for the stuff that culturally we've been told that that's what life is.
Bob, I'm hearing some excellent talk here.
He is speaking my language. Joe, you're speaking my language. And
You've never heard him speak like this before?
no, I've heard about you speaking like this before.
Okay.
That's why this is such a great privilege
Yes,
for me.
yes.
We probably need to take a break.
Are we?
do we?
We're there. Okay, so go ahead, Bob.
Yeah, we need to take a break, and we'll be back. And when we come back, I want to ask you some personal questions about the journey.
Yes. Perfect.
So we'll be right back.
Thank you for staying with us.